Women's Corner. Remember, this program runs from 11 a.m. to 12 noon every day on Galaxy TV. And I hope you remember that we'll stream live on Facebook and Twitter, so you can just log in and join us on the program. Also, we are on Start Times and UHF 27, so you can actually join us to, be part of the program. This program is strictly for women, but of course, men and children are very, very well welcome. We have we have an app. It's on Google Play Store and Apple Play Store, so you can download and also watch all of our live streams. So today we'll be talking about, is love unconditional or transactional? I have an amazing fellow, amazing woman, a mother, and of course a wife that will be joining us on this program to talk about if love is unconditional or transactional or both. Anyways, you're welcome to the show again. My name is Rose Blossom. Let's go for a short break, and right after the break we'll start talking. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. Yes, to your own Women's Corner. So we have Dr. Oluyomi Daudo. She is a professional accountant. She's a tax practitioner. She's also the director of taxes, Ogun State Internal Revenue. She's the chairman of Chartered Institute of Taxation, Abeokuta District. Good morning, Dr. Oluyomi. Good morning.
I am Mrs., not a doctor, just to set the record straight, because I know how people frown at using a nomenclature that is not appropriate. I am Mrs. Oluyomi Dawodu. Good morning. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Apologies for the doctor. Hopefully, maybe in the near future, you become one too. So yes, Mrs. Oluyomi, you're very welcome to the program. So today, like we discussed earlier, we're talking about if love is unconditional or transactional. But first, I'm gonna ask, from a woman, I know what men call love is different from what we women call love. But I'm just gonna ask first, what is love? What is your definition of love?
Thank you very much. As we all know, that love is a deep caring for the existence of one another. I said one another because it could be from mother to a child, father to a child, and amongst family, from husband to wife, friends, and associates. So it is a deep caring for the existence of one another.
I love that, a deep care. So basically, would you say love is unconditional or love is transactional? When I mean unconditional, of course, we know what unconditional is: selfless, sacrifice, all of those things, like having a lot of things. But would you also say that love is would you say love is transactional? What I mean is this transaction thing. You give and I take. It's a give and take thing. So which is it for you? Is it unconditional or it is transactional?
Thank you. Despite the fact that this topic is a complex and a subjective one, it all depends on somebody's perspective. To some, love will be transactional, and to some people, it will be an unconditional one. And we have in various categories. For the transactional love, we may have this happening amongst pals, maybe in a business environment, like the word indicates, transactional. It means you have to give something in awaiting of getting something back in return. It is transactional. It depends on who you are dealing with. I may have a transactional relationship with a partner, a business partner. I can even have it with my children. It depends on what the issue at hand that we're addressing. So for a transactional love, it happens in various forms and within various entities and individuals. So with this, you will have an agreement with the person concerned, be it your siblings, be it your at work, or anybody around you. But for the unconditional one, this one is talking about morals, it's talking about ethics, and this can be experienced from family members, maybe from a mother, father to a child, or even among siblings as well. It can also be experienced among couple as well. It depends, as I said, is a complex and subjective topic. For some marriages, they took it to be a transactional relationship, love. For some, it is unconditional love. That is, they are going to take whatever that comes their way, irrespective of what happens in that relationship.
Between the both. Now, I just want to ask, of course, you're a mother, you're a child, and definitely I'm certain that when you want love to be healthy among children, among the grown-ups, among adults, which would you think is the kind of love a man or a woman should have to their spouse or to their partner? I'm not talking about their children. I'm not talking about their colleagues. I'm talking about the spouse, the husband, the boyfriend or fiance or fiance.
Good.
You understand? So what love is healthy? Is it the transactional or the unconditional love?
Thank you very much. In my own opinion, I think the unconditional love is the healthy one to have in any relationship, because we have a lot to do together in that relationship. It is a marriage, it is a contract between that man and a woman. But the most important thing in that relationship is the love. That is the foundation of that relationship. Because you could have as well show love to any other person, but for you having a spouse that you got married to and you want to have children and do things together, it is best and healthy for one to have an unconditional love, where whatever happens in that relationship, you will have to respect and follow to the letter. So for me, in that wise, couples should be concerned about each other. We should note what we engaged for. And in whatever circumstances we find ourselves, we must make sure that we play our part such that that love is not broken.
So basically, you are trying to be a bit how would I put it, diplomatic. You don't want to say if it's unconditional or transactional. But anyways, let me just put it this way. Do you think love?
Pardon me, I said it is unconditional love. Because when it is transactional, it means you are expecting something in return. Note that even in that unconditional love, we have instances where you will have to practice the transactional love, but the basis of that relationship should be unconditional when it comes to marriage, when it comes to a husband and a wife. So the healthy one is to have an unconditional love, because you have agreed to come together to raise a family. And don't forget that raising a family is the beginning. That is where the building of a nation starts from. And if we want a healthy nation, we should be able to show love, empathy, and sympathy at the same time, managing each other's emotion where there's need for that. So for me, in my opinion, couples should engage themselves based on unconditional love.
Okay. Okay, all right. So I'm going to be let me go a bit deeper. Now, like you said, I agree with you, love should be unconditional. But invariably, and in the middle of it, while you're going there and married and all of that, there's still going to be this transaction. So but that brings me now, if we talk about the Gen Zs now, or the alphas right now, that is the ones that are coming up now, you'll find out that they do more of transactional love. Because you hear some men will come out and complain, like, I meet a girl, I'm asking her out, and she's telling me, okay, we're going for a date. Now she goes to a restaurant, and in the restaurant, obviously this is a date, this is somebody that might potentially become your husband, and you're not even pocket friendly, you probably start ordering the most expensive food on the menu, you understand, and the next, some of them will even tell you outrightly before they even go out with you that how much do you have, like what can you give to me. So that brings me to the question, do you think love should be reciprocated or should be rewarded? Because if we see the way these people are doing it now, it's more like they have to be rewarded for loving them or going into a relationship with them. So what do you think, love should be rewarded or should be reciprocated?
Thank you. The best thing to do and the healthiest one to do is for love to be reciprocated. Like I do preach to the young ones, as a woman or as a lady, you must be financially independent. You don't have to depend on the man for survival. You could even do better than your husband. It's possible. So depending on a man to feel that he takes care of all of your needs, including bills when you go to eatery or a dinner date and all that, to me it's not too good. For a woman, you shouldn't just rely that a man is there to cater for all of your needs. It must be reciprocated. You love the man in return, and the man should love you as well and respect and adore each other. So for the Gen Zs, my advice is, well, I think the responsibility is in all of us, and I'm happy that you are bringing this kind of program, which is educational, and when people see it, they'll pick one or two things. I'm very sure we have some that will have something to pick out of your program. So to me, we should continue educating the Gen Zs. We should let them know that they can be independent on their own. There's no need for them to rely on a man in taking care of their bills. Fine. It's good for man to appreciate you as he desires or as you desires as well, but not to the extent that you think he should do everything when it comes to financial transactions in that relationship. So to the Gen Zs, they should learn to be independent, to have work, and to have a relative and steady income personally for themselves, where if their husbands give additional, it will be in addition to whatever they are working to earn. That is the way I see it.
Okay, thank you very, very much, Mrs. Oluyomi. Your inputs are very, very straightforward, and it's something that but even the ones that are still in secondary school will definitely understand what we're trying to say, because I believe if love should fizzle out, I don't know where marriage is going to be. Even relationship might not even exist. I think what people will just see is probably partnership. Okay, let me give birth for you. Let me give you a child, and this is what you'll be doing for me. It's going to be more of transaction. So why we are here talking about this, so that we can build a better future for those who do not understand what love is. And of course, I know sometimes background can be an influence. Okay, Mrs. Oluyomi is still with me. But before that, before we continue to ask her more questions, I want us to take a short breather. Let's take a tips, and this one is tips for oily skin, for women who have oily skin, because this period is the rainy period. This is when you have oily skin. Very soon, December, we'll be having what we call the Hamatan. So we'll be having dry skin. So even me, I started developing oil skin recently, and I really do not like it because I was usually in the middle. So this is something that's been helping me out, and it's time to share to actually help people who have oily skin. Don't go nowhere. You're still with me, and of course, we're still talking about if love is unconditional, or if love should be unconditional or should be transactional. And of course, our guest for today is Mrs. Oluyomi. So don't go nowhere. Let's go for tips for oily skin, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Makeup tips for oily skin. Update your skincare routine. The path to even makeups begin well before you apply your foundation, and the right skin preparations lay the groundwork for smoother makeup application. Start by cleansing and exfoliating to manage excess sebum and reduce pore visibility. To streamline your routine, focus on essential makeup steps for oily skin, such as using multitasking skincare products like a priming moisturizer with SPF. This approach can help avoid the piling that results from layering too many products. Try a primer. Using a primer will definitely help if you have large pores to fill, but it can sometimes be a little bit too much makeup to be putting on. A primer is 95% just a moisturizer. Applying it with a foundation brush, blending it from the center of your face to the sides and the T-zone and parts of your face you're more likely to touch often. A primer helps to mattify extremely oily patches and make the base makeup stick so it lasts all day. Create an even base. You must pick the right foundation for your skin type. For oily skin, you can pick between a powder which should be applied with a damp beauty sponge and a mattifying liquid foundation. Even tinted moisturizers with a more gel-like consistency work. They don't slip off and leave streaks on your face. If you only need to cover up a certain area like pimples or dark circles, use a creamy thick concealer with a tacky consistency to spot concealer whenever you need to. Makeup artists also suggest applying foundation with a stippling brush in quick motions that don't drag the product around. Sheer coverage can prevent your makeup from looking thick and too layered on. Know what you're using. You need to keep your skin type in mind when picking the rest of your makeup products too. Love the dewy skin tread? Both makeup artists warn that it might start to look greasy after an hour or two of wear. Steer clear of the wet look and extremely shiny highlighters, choosing matte colors to define the face instead. Cream and liquid consistency work better on an oilier face, as the powder can emulsify with the natural oil, leaving your face looking messy and streaky. Jelly or lightweight balms, especially for blush and contour products, can sink into the skin more easily than their powdery counterpart. Set your makeup. Most people use a settling spray after makeup to make the base foundation last longer for oilier skin. Applying a setting spray before the base helps the foundation sit in place much longer. This also hydrates your face and removes any excess oils. Use powder to set the base of your makeup. Choose a soft and transparent powder and use a small brush to touch up your nose, forehead and the center parts of your cheeks.
Right, welcome back. Okay, so we're talking about if love should be unconditional or should be transactional. And of course, we're having that discussion with Mrs. Oluyomi Dawodu. Mrs. Oluyomi, I have another question for you, and of course, this one is: do you believe love can exist in a relationship without any expectations? Why I ask this question is because a lot of persons expect so much, in fact, beyond your imaginations. To be honest, sometimes when you hear some persons what they expect from their partners, like, okay, if I'm going to get married, this is what I want, and basically it comes from the ladies, to be honest. Yes, I know the men can be extra too, but I'm a woman too, so I know a lot of he must be this, he must be tall, he must be fine, he must be dark, he must have this money, he must have 2 cars, the expectations and all of that. So is it possible that love can actually exist without any expectation from the partners? Is it possible at all?
Thank you. It is not possible to say it emphatically because something attracted you to the person in the first instance. And those things that attracted you to the person will surely continue to exist and even improve as you grow together and move on in that relationship. Definitely, it is very natural and normal for people to expect. Even there are some expectations that you even desire for yourself that, oh, in so time, I expect to be in this place. So there's no way there won't be expectations. But what we're saying is that it has to be something that we do together. It takes two to tango. It shouldn't be that, because what we have in these days, we have a lot of people that feel that the money of their husband is their money. And for the women, they feel their own money is theirs. And the husband has nothing to do with such money or such asset or whatever it is. So for me, it is natural and normal for one to have expectation in every marriage. And as human, we do appreciate each other. We do give exchange. Husband to a wife, appreciating your wife, whether she did something good or on her birthdays or events that you feel you want to show your love to the woman. So for me, it is very normal and natural to have expectations in relationships.
Okay, that's beautiful. And I think I believe that. And in fact, let me just put it this way, that for everyone that wants to, embrace love, despite having an expectation, it must be realistic. Now, there are some unrealistic expectations one have in relationship, and you fully know yourself. Even you can't give yourself that same expectation, and you expect something else from the same partner, which is almost impossible. Even if the person tries, at the end of the day, both of you might lose the focus of loving each other, but trying to meet up to an expectation that probably you might not be able to meet. Thank you very much for that one. Okay, I'm going to ask, how do you think the society, our parents, mothers, even as siblings, how do you think, especially the society in court now, how do you think they have influenced the ideology of love? How do you think they have influenced it? Because if for now, a lot of men and women keep feeling that it's transactional, keep feeling that there's nothing like love. I just want to have this, I just want to have that, I'm okay. Once he can do this, I'm okay. Once she can do that, I'm okay. I don't even need extra. Do you think our mothers, do you think even the mothers that we have now, which are the Gen Z mothers and the millennial mothers, and of course the society at large, how do you think they have influenced the real definition of love?
Yes, I agree with you that the mothers we have in these days have really influenced the thinking of the Gen Zs, the young ones. Because we all know while growing up, the first training that we got was from home, from the parents. Before going to school, we learn how to greet, how to eat, how to dress up, how to respect elders, how to talk when you are amidst of people in a congregation. We learn all these things, the basic training from home, which meaning from our parents. And that is why parents have a significant role to play. And all the Gen Z's parents or mothers should just take note and reflect on how they were brought up, on how the kind of school, the kind of training, the kind of education they have in school. And with the lack of all this home training, the basic training from the elementary school, that is fading away, is causing a lot of problems. And that is where we find ourselves. We could see that people doesn't even have empathy for each other anymore, unlike before. You will see a young child or a lady or a man, a young person in maybe let's say in a bus or in a commercial vehicle. I want to use maybe where an elderly person doesn't even have a space to sit, and you will see a young chap just pressing his phone or her phone, not even taking cognizance of his or her environment. In those days, the children of those days doesn't need to be told to get up for that elderly person to sit down in such situation. And all these things have a long way to go in the life of the children and in the community as a whole. So my advice to the Gen Z's parents is to have a rethink. Although it is good to live, to allow all these Gen Z's to have freedom of speech, freedom of at least taking decision on their own. But still, we still have that responsibility of telling them the right thing to do per time. So as far as I'm concerned, it is better for us to keep educating each other for the Gen Z's parents to allow their children, having learned from them, also learn within the society they find themselves. Whether in their schools, in their places of work, they should allow them to learn and let them know that love is a good thing and they should care for one another.
Okay, thank you very much for that advice. And I hope the Gen Z mothers are listening to that. Now, before we let you go, the last question I have, as much as we're trying to, direct all of our thoughts, our questions, and mostly the change to the Gen Z mothers and, of course, the upcoming mothers, I still believe, okay, let me put it this way. I was going through, I was surfing the internet and I saw a group of grown-up women. I mean, mothers in their 50s, in their 60s, all grown up. They went for a dating show. And of course, this is where they try to find love. And you could see mothers that are supposed to teach people like us, that would teach probably the Gen Zs, and the Gen Zs will teach the alphas. They are also looking for transactional love. Men are coming and it's a thing of pop your balloon. And they will see a man, maybe because it's not, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not oozing wealth or something. You see they pop their balloon. And when they're asked, why did you pop the balloon for this man? You hear a response like, he doesn't look like he can afford me. So imagine if a woman in her 50s and 60s is already thinking that love should be trans. Okay, maybe she's not even looking for love at this point, I understand. Maybe she's looking for someone who will just take care of her, have fun, and all of that. But the truth of the matter is she's still looking for love that is transactional, because at the end of the day, this is somebody she wants to spend her life with. She's going to be with, they're going to go on vacation. So how would you not love someone because it's going to be a continuous thing. So what advice will you give to women of that age range? Because you can't call them millennial babies. So I think they are the boomers, right? So what advice will you give to women who are in this age range, but yet they are still, influencing the idea of love in young children, especially some of them telling those children to bring back something home, to they always watch, who is the man you're bringing home? Who is the person you want to get married? Where is he? Does he have money? Does he have a car? All of those things. So what advice do you give to those kind of women to wrap up the show?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think in this situation, we always find them. But like you have said, when we have opportunity to let them know that it is not the best for the children, and it is not the best for them as well. For some, they may love transactional, they may wish to have a transactional loan. But in most cases, it is better for a woman to have a man and love him unconditionally. And she must be ready to adopt and make sure that whatever comes into that relationship, she's ready to stay and abide with it. For their mothers, well, we will continue to educate them. And also what I want to lay emphasis on is we have all drifted apart from the scriptures, the books, whether you are a Muslim or you are a Christian, because those were the foundation at which we were taught, and the morals at home that which we were taught. I can remember when we were young that you must have to go to church. As in my family, you must be there. And having come back from church, my father is going to ask us what we learned from church at the end of the day. So for you, he's not even going to that church. He's going to the church and paying attention. So what I'm saying in essence is that people should not just be after the monetary or the material things of life. We have a lot to do together. We have to care for one another. So for the young ones, they should try to drift away, to move away from a transactional love and love their spouses unconditionally. And for their mothers, it is not material things that really matters. It is the peace of mind that that lady or the young woman enjoy in that relationship. And most of the time, for the young ladies, Rome wasn't built in a day. The man you want to marry, you will have to do life together. You have to grow, do things together. It is, after all, he may not have everything at the beginning of that relationship. But as long as that person have a prospect of taking care of that woman, it is okay for the lady to go ahead in such marriage. And for their mothers, they should just try to remember how they were brought up. Things weren't like this in those days. So we should try to come back to the right path of loving and caring for one another unconditionally.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for, hitting the nail on the head, both for the Gen Zs and, of course, for starting from the boomer to the millennial, all of them down, even to the aged ones. Thank you so much for being part of the show, too. Thank you for giving us motherly advice. Thank you so much for even giving us your time. From all of us at Galaxy TV, we do appreciate you. Thank you so much, man. I hope you enjoyed the program.
Very well. Thank you very much. I did. I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma, for joining us. Okay, and that's it from Mrs. Oluyomi Daudu. She is a professional accountant. She's a tax practitioner, like I said earlier. She's the Director of Taxes, Ogun State Internal Revenue, and she's also the Chairman of a Chartered Institute of Taxation at Belkota District. Thank you so much, Ma. We really do appreciate you. Okay, it's the wrap of the show, but this time around, this tips for children has been something I've been ongoing, postponing and keep postponing. But today I was like, we're going to do this since we're talking about love. So let's just show some love to the children today. Okay, let's quickly go for tips for children. Then, of course, I'll come back and wrap up the show. Stay with us.
Children play intuitively and are constantly exploring different ways to play. Some do this with caution, while others continually seek out new challenges. Either way, a child's right to explore, play and discover is something that as parents and caregivers, we must protect. It enables them to develop, grow and learn and become confident, capable characters. These basic safety rules will help make your kids be better equipped and protect themselves in scary situations, both at home and in school. It is important for parents to reiterate these basic safety rules to their kids in an age-appropriate language for better understanding. 1. Teach them to know your name, number and address. Your kid may be small, but it is important to teach basic contact details like his or her mom's and dad's name and contact number. Your kid should be able to share your contact number with someone in case of an emergency. Also, knowing where home is and any nearby landmark is also important. 2. Do not talk or go anywhere with strangers. 3. Do not eat anything given by a stranger. 4. Do not walk out of the compound alone. 5. No one is allowed to touch your private part. This is a very important safety rules for kids and you should teach about it as soon as your kid can understand the basics. Teach about good touching and bad touch. Tell your kid that no one is allowed to touch your private part except mommy and sometimes papa if needed. If anyone else has touched your kid should immediately shout for help and alert people around. 6. Never leave children alone near water. 7. Keep cleaning materials, drugs and other chemicals away from children. 8. Cover electrical outlets and protect children from electrical wires. 9. Don't keep secrets from your parents. 10. Respect things that are dangerous. 11. Protect your skin. 12. Do not climb the fence. 13. Do not share addresses and phone details with strangers. 14. If I am uncomfortable, I will not do it.
All right, yes, we've come to the end of today's program on Women's Corner. But before I go, let me just give you some few tips on how, you can help yourself have found true love, find true love, and maintain it. And of course, like our guest rightly said, no matter how much unconditional love you have for yourself, at some point there's going to be a transaction in between. But the truth of the matter is not the transaction that comes first, is the unconditional that comes first. But you know, sometimes you could even have the transaction come first and you find yourself falling deep in love with that person, where you now have the unconditional love. Vice versa, it could come anyways. So but I'm just going to tell you, for someone who's falling in love, who is in love and who wants to remain in love, you always have to self-reflect. Also help your partner sometimes some personal space so that he or she can self-reflect. Make sure your expectations are realities, not the unrealistic expectations. Make sure you have open dialogue with your partner. Make sure you have boundaries. Accept imperfection. Nobody's perfect. You know, you sit one place, they say something, you see the grass is greener on the other side. My darling, it's not just greener. The person is probably watering his plant every now and then, so you just have to do the same. And also, you have to recognize change when you see one and embrace change, except if it's against your values and, of course, your personality. I'll put that. Cultivate empathy. Empathy is very important. If you have to love somebody, or if you want to receive love, you must have empathy. If you do not have that, I'm sorry, you're just going to be having transactions all around you, which you term as love. Okay, always support and make sure there's a balancing in everything you do with your partner. And lastly, always learn and make sure you grow. At this point, I call it a wrap. Thank you so much. My name is Rose Blossom. Up next, News on the Hour. Right after that, we have The Buzz, where we'll talk about the state and affairs of the country. My name is Rose Blossom. Do have a beautiful day. Bye for now.